Ever catch yourself staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, just wishing you could fall asleep?
Yeah.
It's like you'd do anything for just a few hours of decent sleep.
Oh, tell me about it.
And I know when you all requested this deep dive into sleeping pills, I knew it was going to hit home for a lot of us, struggling with sleep or knowing someone who relies on sleeping pills. So
Yeah.
we're going beyond those typical warnings you hear, don't take this, be careful, all that,
Right.
and diving into the surprising world of dependency and withdrawal.
Yeah, and this isn't just about, like, being groggy the next day.
Right.
We're talking about some seriously eye-opening stuff.
Get ready, because what we uncover might just keep you up tonight and not because you can't sleep. We're talking about the hidden side of sleeping pills, the stuff they don't always tell you. And to help us navigate this, I've got our expert guide right here.
Glad to be here. And I think you'll find this pretty eye-opening. Did you know that studies show roughly 9 million adults in the U.S. have a sleeping pill prescription? It's a staggering number when you think about it, and it really highlights how common sleep issues are these days.
9 million. Wow, that is way more than I expected. It's easy to think, oh, it's just a sleeping pill. Millions of people take them. What's the big deal? But those numbers paint a different picture, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah.
What many people don't realize is that even when you take these medications exactly as prescribed, there's still a risk of dependency. It's one of those things that can really sneak up on you.
So you're saying even if you're following the doctor's orders, you could still become dependent?
That's right. You see, these medications, they work by actually changing your brain chemistry. And over time, your brain can actually kind of forget how to fall asleep on its own. Think of it this way. Imagine your brain is like a muscle. If you never exercise it, what happens? It gets weaker, right?
Right.
The same thing can happen with sleep. You rely on the medication, and your brain's natural ability to fall asleep, it just weakens.
Wow, that analogy really makes it click. So it's not just a matter of willpower, oh, I just need to try harder to fall asleep. It's like the medication is doing the work for your brain.
Exactly. And this is particularly true with some of the common sleeping pills out there, medications like Ambien, Lunesta, or Sonata. They're often seen as, relatively harmless fixes for sleep troubles.
Right.
But the reality is they carry a risk of dependence, just like any other medication that alters brain chemistry.
It's almost like we underestimate them because
Right.
they're so widely prescribed.
Precisely.
Right.
And look, it's not about scaring anyone away from seeking help for sleep problems. Not at all.
Right.
It's about empowering you with the knowledge you need to have an informed conversation with your doctor.
Knowledge is power. Right. When you understand the potential risks, you can make smarter choices about your health.
Absolutely. It's about weighing the benefits against the risks and making the best decision for you.
Okay, so we've established that dependency is a real possibility. But what happens if you've been taking sleeping pills for a while and decide to stop?
Right.
What does withdrawal actually look like? This is where it gets really interesting, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about like kicking the sleeping pill habit, right? Is it as simple as just putting up with a few restless nights? Or is there more to it?
You'd think so, right. But unfortunately, it's not that straightforward. Withdrawal from sleeping pills, it can be way more intense than most people realize.
Yeah, I've heard people describe it like almost their brain is staging a full-on revolt, like
Yeah.
it's desperately trying to find its way back to its natural rhythm.
That's a really good way to put it, actually. And it's not too far off because, see, withdrawal symptoms, they can manifest in both physical and psychological ways.
Right.
It's not just, it's not just in your head, so to
Right.
speak.
Oh, wow. So we're talking about more than just tossing and turning then. What kind of experiences are we talking about here?
We're talking about things like, heightened anxiety, even hallucinations in some instances. And then on the physical side, you might see muscle spasms, nausea, vomiting, and in some cases, even seizures.
Hold on, seizures. That sounds really serious. This is starting to feel a lot more intense than just needing a good night's rest.
It definitely is something to take seriously. And that's precisely why we're shining a light on it. Imagine, right, going through all of that while trying to function in your daily life.
Yeah.
Not exactly a walk in the park.
Definitely not. It sounds incredibly disruptive, both physically and mentally.
Exactly right. And to make matters worse, the withdrawal timeline, it can be, unpredictable. Some research suggests that the first few days, days 1 through 3, are often characterized by like confusion, mood swings, and in some cases even memory issues.
So it's like you're hit with this wave of disorientation right out of the gate.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. And if that weren't enough, things can kind of escalate from days 4 to 10 That's when the physical symptoms, things like sweating, a racing heart, tremors, they tend to peak. And on top of that, the cravings for the medication, they can be incredibly intense during this period.
So you're essentially battling on two fronts, right? You've got the physical withdrawal symptoms, and then you've got the psychological withdrawal symptoms all at the same time.
Precisely. Now, from days 11 to 17, the physical symptoms, they might start to subside a little bit, but the psychological ones, particularly anxiety, that can really linger. Some individuals even report experiencing panic attacks during this phase.
It sounds like your body and mind are in this constant state of flux, trying to find their equilibrium again.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And just when you think you're in the clear, some people encounter what's known as post-acute withdrawal syndrome, or PAWS for short.
The body abuse.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little more about that?
Absolutely. So PAWS involves these lingering symptoms like, anxiety, insomnia, irritability, even difficulty concentrating. And it can last for weeks or even months after you stop taking sleeping pills.
So even after you've stopped taking the medication, you could still be dealing with the fallout, potentially for a long time.
Unfortunately, that's true for some individuals, which really underscores why it's crucial to seek guidance from a healthcare professional if you're considering stopping sleeping pills, particularly if you've been taking them for a while.
This is all pretty heavy stuff. So let's switch gears a bit and talk about solutions. What can someone do if they're concerned about their sleeping pill use? Are there safer alternatives to explore? I mean, it sounds like we're talking about some serious stuff here, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's important to remember, right, that we're not medical professionals here.
Right.
Our goal is to share what we found and kind of get you thinking.
Exactly. This isn't medical advice.
Right.
So if you're concerned about your own sleeping pill use, what's the first step?
Well, the most important thing is to talk to your doctor.
Right.
They can look at your situation. They know your medical history, all of that.
Right. They're the experts.
Exactly.
They can help you weigh the potential benefits against the risks and help you make choices that are right for you.
Exactly. And one thing your doctor might suggest is something called tapering. Basically, it means gradually reducing your dosage over time, but of course with your doctor's guidance to minimize those tough withdrawal symptoms we talked about.
So instead of going cold turkey, it's more like easing your brain off the medication, like gently.
Exactly. Yeah. It gives your body a chance to kind of adjust to those lower doses, gradually.
Right.
Which can make a huge difference in minimizing the shock of suddenly stopping.
Oh, wow.
It's often the safest and most effective way to get off sleeping pills.
So it sounds like the key takeaway here is really open communication with your doctor is essential, right?
Absolutely.
Don't hesitate to talk to them about, anything you're worried about. Ask those questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
And see what other options are out there.
Exactly. Think of it as a partnership, you and your doctor, to figure out what's best for your health.
That's a great way to put it. Well said. We've gone pretty deep into the world of sleeping pills today. We've talked about how common dependency is, the challenges of withdrawal, which we don't always hear about,
Right.
and how important it is to make informed decisions. Right?
Absolutely. And talk to your doctor.
Talk to your doctor.
Don't go it alone.
Don't go it alone. That's
Yeah.
great advice. Well, I think that just about wraps up our deep dive into sleeping pills.
Yeah.
Until next time, everyone, keep those brains engaged, keep asking those questions, and we will see you on the next deep dive.